Hi there, my name is Jonathan Baumgart. I'm the CEO of Atomic Consulting. In today's video, I want to discuss offshore registrations and company formations for FX and CFD brokers. So as a starting point, I would like to discuss St. Vincent and explain why this relatively esoteric part of the world became the hub for offshore FX and CFD registrations for around 10 years or so, and what happened in 2023 to end it all. So if we want to discuss the history of offshore registrations, it begins with St. Vincent. And the question is, why St. Vincent as opposed to anywhere else? So the challenge here is that most of the well-known offshore destinations like Cayman Islands, Bahamas, Seychelles, for example, all have their own regulatory framework for Forex and CFDs. Now, each region has different terminology. Sometimes it's securities. There's different classifications. But generally speaking, in the regions I mentioned, there is already regulation for these products. What does that mean in reality? It means you can't simply set up a company in Cayman Islands and operate as an FX broker without being licensed by the local authorities. You can try, of course, but if the broker grows and people begin to take notice, you will get shut down by the local authorities. Additionally, it'll be almost impossible to get a bank account. And this is the case for many other regions, Vanuatu, Mauritius, Bahamas, etc. St. Vincent came into play because it was one of the few places in the world that allowed one to set up an offshore broker, but didn't itself have a licensing framework. So essentially, you could register a company unlicensed, and the local authorities would be okay with it. So naturally, many unregistered and unlicensed brokers flocked to St. Vincent. Now, were there other options? Yes, I will discuss those. But the reason St. Vincent was attractive, it was by far the quickest and most cost-effective. There are other places that to this day will offer the same benefits as St. Vincent once did, but they're more expensive. So there's really no loyalty to any of these regions. They're basically just offering new brokers a place to domicile their companies. So everyone just went for the cheapest option. Now this started in what I'll call the white label boom of the early 2010s. That's when it became very popular to launch brokers using MetaTrader 4 primarily. And many brokers were created during this period because MT4 at the time was allowing for white labels. There were companies who provided just white label technology and would offer their clients the ability to inexpensively register a company in St. Vincent and then get an MT4 white label. But those days are over. So what happened was in 2023, the authorities in St. Vincent quite abruptly decided to stop offering this service. Now, it's still unclear why. There was never a specific answer. They announced to their clients that if you are offering FX and CFD services, you must cease. And basically, that ended the reign of St. Vincent as kind of the de facto region for offshore broker registrations. After they did this, it became a mad scramble. And I'm going to discuss what happened afterwards and explore some of the other regions that became contenders. So, in early 2023, when the St. Vincent authorities decided to stop offering offshore registrations, it was a very crazy rush. We were quite busy actually because many companies were looking for new homes. Now, the first one that came up was St.Kitts. It's not just because the name is similar, but that was often a region that people used as an alternative to St. Vincent. It was just more expensive. And that's the reason St. Vincent was popular. No other place was as cost effective as St. Vincent. So St. Kitts, for a very brief period of time, looked like it may be the new area where people would register their companies. But very quickly, I think what happened is the local authorities got overwhelmed. They saw a flood of these company registrations coming over and seeing, for whatever happened to St. Vincent or whatever caused them to stop doing this, they didn't want to suffer the same consequences. So very quickly, St. Kitts closed their door. And that was basically the end of the story. Then Marshall Islands came up. Now, Marshall Islands, for some period of time, was also a place you could register a broker without a license, but it was always more expensive and a bit slower. That's why it never really took off. Well, what happened was a few years ago, Marshall Islands got a bit ahead of the game, and they no longer offer registration for FX and CFD companies. So that was also no longer an option. So there's only so many of these islands in the world, and what happened is that one place took over as, for the time being, the de facto destination for offshore registrations, and that was St. Lucia. So St. Lucia has always been offering this, but it is more expensive than St. Vincent. For that reason, it just got ignored because there's really no differential in terms of value between St. Vincent, St. Kitts, Marshall Islands. They're all essentially allowing a broker to register unlicensed. So if you're comparing the same thing and one is significantly cheaper, then it's obvious where you're going to go. There's just no real reason to go for St. Lucia until now. Because to our knowledge, there really is no better place at the moment to register a broker without a license. So for the time being, and as of this video's recording, St. Lucia is now the place to go. Now something interesting is you can also obtain a license there if you want. The capital requirements are quite hefty. So I do not think it is an attractive region. However, if you wanted to, contact our team. We can discuss it more with you. But as of now, St. Lucia is the new place to go. Now, why would you consider this in this day and age? Many people say, what's the point of launching an unregulated broker? It's not regulated. Well, I've always stood by the belief, because I believe in startups, that everyone has to begin somewhere. The biggest names you see out there all began as unregulated companies. It makes sense. From day one, unless you have a massive investor and a book of business, I don't think it makes sense to get a license. I think it's better to launch the business, see how it goes, and one of the first things you should do is obtain a license. Secondly, even if you were to obtain licensing from day one, that does not happen overnight. It takes at least 6 months. So while you're waiting, St. Lucia is a perfect place to launch your company, to get some basic banking services. And then in the 6-month period, when you have the license approval, you can continue with the St. Lucia, shut it down, it's your choice. But it's a great kind of temporary place to launch the business. And that's why I encourage new brokers to consider starting there. Now, the banking options aren't great. It's not a license. You will have a lot of hesitation from clients, but it's a place to start. So if you wanted to register a company in St. Lucia and also get some basic payment options, we'd be able to help you out. Book a consultation with myself or one of our team members. We'll be happy to walk you through the process. If you want to launch a Forex broker or a prop firm, we have the technology in place. So between payments, regulation, technology, we offer everything here. And we'd love to show you our software. We'd love to discuss licensing with you and help you get started. So feel free to contact us. And if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you have any feedback or thoughts, feel free to push a comment here. Or if there's a specific subject you would like us to discuss, we'd be happy to look into it. So thank you very much for checking out this video, and speak to you soon.